Hey guys, and welcome back to Kart with Sean. Today we are back at TeamSport Coventry for a 3-for-2 public session. A lot of very fast people are on track with me today, so let's see how we do. The 3 sessions I competed in were a full grid of 16 drivers. This is going to make for a lot of traffic, but also a lot of flags. But for the first time today, we're going green. Immediately after one lap, we catch up to our first victims of the overtake counter. Nice and easy moves there, weaving my way through traffic. Now, as you'd come to expect from the public team sport session, here's our first red flag of the day. Also seems like some people don't know what red flags mean. I guess they thought it was yellow, I don't know. To be fair though, it was a fairly short red flag and we're back underway quite quickly. Now as I'm rolling under these yellow flags, I look behind me and I see this sheer amount of traffic behind me. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to have a lot of work to do here as I try a bit of human DRS. But I actually pulled away quite nicely. Now if you've seen my last video, you know I wasn't really a big fan of this corner coming up until I learned how to take it properly. But this practice that I did will end up helping me out later with a new personal best lap time. A few quiet laps later and I end up meeting this person here who spun on the apex right in front of me, but it makes for a nice easy overtake to go into the counter. Now I had no idea this guy was behind me, but I take this corner absolutely horribly, which allows him to get right next to me and overtake into the turn. But I do actually manage to stick with him, and now I'm trying to plan my attack in the next few corners. He goes a bit wide going into turn 1, which allows me to get next to him, and I look for an easy move around the outside, which then switches to the inside as he goes wide, and I stick to the barrier, having him before the downhill. After a few more quiet laps, we meet up with kart 9, who is taking an odd line through here, but I shove it up the inside and get the overtake done before the apex. At this point in the session, I've been catching this kart very slowly every lap, but I'm still gaining some time. But for the second time today, we are showing red flags and have to come to a complete stop. Now that was a fairly long red flag, but we get shown the yellows and we're all eager to get moving again. Now as we go green here, I'm starting to plan my attack on this white helmet guy, as I know I'm catching him soon. But I wasn't aware of this guy in the Joker helmet going around the left here. He goes a bit deep there, and I manage to stay with him, and I look for a switchback, staying side by side, making a bit of contact, maybe a bit too much on my side, but he manages to get through. Now that kart 21 all night was, I think it was the quickest in all sessions, so there was no way I was catching him. Just as I thought after the red flags though, we do end up catching the kart with the white helmet, as he gets stuck behind traffic, and I try to weave my way through, which I look for the inside here, and I make it on both of them. After those two overtakes, I had clean air for pretty much the rest of this section, so I ended up doing some hot lapping. Now after a good few hot laps, we meet more traffic here, but we also meet this guy here who sticks his nose up on the inside. He was very quick on all 3 sessions, but he does like to bump people out of the way, which I do get a bit stressed with. Now I catch up with these back markers quite a lot, as I'm also trying to defend from the guy behind me, but I make an absolutely horrible exit of that corner and he just goes around the outside of me. Give him a bit of a love tap, like twice, 3 times make that, and he just makes his way past and forces his way through here too. But as he was overtaken, the guy in the purple suit on my left must have lost a lot of momentum when I get a move on the inside on the uphill. But kart 8 gets a terrible exit out of turn 1 and I manage to gain time on him. I have a look around the outside, which then turns into the inside, which he actually covers quite well, and I don't know what I was shoving my hand up there at, because it was my fault really that I made contact. But he goes wide on the downhill, which puts me side by side once again. Stick to the middle of the track, and then I bump him out the way, which, that was not really clean at all. And I kind of feel bad about adding it to the overtake counter. But a few corners later, at the top of the hill, we get shown the checkered flag for the end of session 1. And I ended the session P4 with a time of 43.957, which was 4/100ths of a second off my personal best at the time. Coming into session 2, I'm in kart number 1 as I was for the first session, and this is where I set my new personal best. We're still in the yellows from people coming out of the pits, and I look behind me here and I notice a lot of traffic again. This does make me a bit anxious, but as we'll see, I do make a gap quite quickly. I put a bit more throttle in to get up the hill and notice it's green at the top. So I take this corner flat and then I start my first lap of the session. A few corners into lap 1 and we'll meet with kart 9 again, who goes wide on the exit of the downhill, which makes an easy move on the inside. It's a similar story to the first session. Guy in the white helmet behind me sends it up the inside here, makes a move stick as he forces me into an error. About half a lap later, the guy in the white helmet has put a back marker between us. And going into the first hairpin, the back marker messes up their entry, and on the second messes up their exit, and I have a look around the outside. Kart 8 then messes up his entry and exit out of this corner, but I just don't have the acceleration to be side by side with him. Kart 8 then messes up the final corner, which allows me to get side by side with a bit of contact, but I brake early and go for a textbook switchback. I'm dead happy with that move, because that's the first time I've ever successfully done a switchback. I'm also not too sure how this guy went so deep into that corner, but he comes straight back onto the racing line quite stupidly if I'm honest, but oh well, I'll have him soon. And 6 corners later, I'm side by side with him, I shove it up the inside, and I easily get the move done going into the final corner. Don't think he was too happy about it though, as he actually gives me a few bumps here. Only thing to really say is you win some, you lose some. Once again though, after that overtake, I was on my own for a few laps until I caught up to this kart here, where I have a look around the outside, which turns into the inside, and I have him easily. I think that's got to be one of my favourite places to overtake on this track because of how wide people go there. They make it so easy to pass, but it's such a clean looking move too. After a good few more hot laps, we get shown another red flag. It was really cold this day at TeamSport, so I was trying to warm my hands up on the engine, but as I was doing that, we got shown the yellows and I got back underway. And we go green once more. I think now that I've discovered how to brake going into this corner, I quite like doing overtakes on the inside of it. It's quite fun to do. Now a lap later on, I've caught up with these two who seem to be fighting, and a bit too hard. As we see there, that was a bit scary. Now I had to absolutely slam on the brakes and not crash into them. After that incident, I end up having a good battle with them all the way to the checkered flag, so I'll let you watch. And that's the end of session 2. Now what I didn't know is that I actually beat my personal best in this session by 0.6 of a second, which is absolutely insane. I managed to do a time of a 43.372, which put me P3 for this session. Now I had that old PB for a while, so this is my reaction to the new one. Now this is the start of the 3rd session. I don't think I've ever started this far back in the pits before at TeamSport. But oh well, guess that means more overtakes for me. Now because I was pretty much the last person out of the pits, we go to green very quickly. And this guy in front of me in the kart 21, once again the really quick kart, was absolutely rapid. There was no way I was keeping up with him. And once he goes up for his move on the inside of kart 17, I tried to take advantage of the lost momentum that kart 17 potentially got. He goes really deep into the downhill corner, and I easily get a move on the inside. And once again we meet kart number 9 on this part. They stick to the racing line, so I shove it up the inside. I think I've done all of my overtakes on kart 9 at this spot. But yeah, I'm really beginning to warm up to that corner now. We're going on to the exit of the 2nd hairpin. We get shown a red flag, and this happens. Yeah, not too sure how that happened, but I move a bit forward as they, well, pretty much forced me into a pinch, and I get to see that light board there, just where that marshal's has been. Now that the head has been clicked, we get shown the yellows and we can go back to racing. Now because I'm heavier than most people on the track, I use a bit more throttle to get up the hill in the yellows, but I may have used a bit too much of this time as I catch up quite a lot of these two in front, but hey, stuff happens. But as we go green, they make their gap up back. Now you'll see here, on the exit of the final corner, I actually stay to the left and hug this barrier. And this is because going straight out of this corner rather than turning right to set up for the next corner allowed me to gain more lap time, as I felt like I was on a good lap and I could improve even more. And it actually works out on a lap that you'll see later. Now here we're having a little scrap with car 16, but he does get slowed down a little bit by this back marker just here, so I managed to get the move done and on the back marker too. Now this lap right here is the fastest lap I've ever done at TeamSport Coventry, even beating my new personal best that I set last session. I'll let you watch the lap now. Now I won't reveal the time till the end of the session, but you see how I stuck to the barrier on the left on the exit of the final corner? That is what helped me gain a lot of time to do the new fastest lap. Now the reason I weren't too happy here is because the lap that I did before the yellow flags felt really good. I felt like I could beat my personal best. But just as I was getting into the final corner, I was showing the yellow flags and I had to slow down. And once again, going into a very popular overtake spot, I shoveled up the inside to get 2 more moves done. But shortly after the move on them 2 drivers, we were showing the checkered flag and the end of the final session of the day. Now it's time to reveal my new personal best. I ended up doing a 43.097, beating my previous personal best by 9/10 in one day. I could not believe it. Although I ended this session P5, I was absolutely ecstatic when I found out this was my lap time. And you can tell by my reaction, I was in pure shock when I saw it. Even 24 hours later, I'm still not over the lap time, how much I gained during one day. I do plan on doing some more TeamSport tracks in the future, and as it gets closer to the summer, maybe some outdoor tracks too. But lastly, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.